for the most part, I'm here to just make you a better athlete, right? This is a contract between you and me. You want to be a better athlete? I want to make you a better athlete. I can give you the tools to do it. You got to do the work, right?
What's up, everyone? You're tuning into the Diamond Strong Podcast. It's where you come feeling good and you leave feeling great. The action starts now.
And did all your guys leave already? Like everybody from baseball left there?
Yeah. So I started with a new guy now. That's a Marlins player. So we're actually training in season here. We just started yesterday, actually. Jean Segura.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice, bro.
Yeah.
Damn, during the season train, that's good, bro.
Yeah. So even my guys like Manny and all of them, Yonder when he was still playing, and Romy and stuff like that, I try to do most of their in-season programming as well. Yonder was probably the best at it. Manny's pretty damn good at it. The other guys, as they're coming up, sometimes it's hard because the coach, the spring staff over there, names like Yonder, Manny, they get away with it. Like, no, I'm doing this. Manny actually flew me out just to have me teach the coaches what we're doing and why we're doing it. Yeah, during one of the spring camps.
That's
a few years back.
That's honestly, I think, when you get to that level, that's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
But does it ever get hard for you to well, if Manny wants to fly you out, for example, does it get hard for you to say damn, bro, I can't leave my business for this amount of time? Have you ever left for an extended period of time?
Not super long. A few days here, a few days there. Yeah. But for these guys, everything's running smoothly enough where I can almost kind of do it. I have really good coaches. Finally, after years and years and years of trying, I got some badass coaches. So if I had to do it, I could. Yeah. But yeah, that one that was just for spring training. It was literally 3 days.
Oh, that's nice.
Just go there, talk to the coaching staff. But basically, that's what I did mostly. Just interact with the coaching staff, kind of show them kind of what we do, and then that was it. And then that way, they had he had more confidence with them to do to do our stuff, and then they have more confidence to do. Okay, we can let him do this. We see it happening.
The trust is everything, bro.
Yeah.
It's a hard thing to actually trust the person that you.
Oh yeah.
How do you what do you do to make sure that, for example, a guy like Manny, how do you make sure that guy always trusts you when you're giving, for example, snatch, bro? You guys do snatches and stuff like that. A lot of people say that that's bad, right? I don't agree at all, bro. I think that's
no. But I would say probably most of the baseball would probably say baseball world would say that.
How do you get Manny to buy? I'm sure it didn't take much to get Romy bought him, but a guy like Manny, bro, you're
Romy was actually really bad at them at first, and I'm like, dude, should we take this out? He's like, no, I want to do them. I'm like, all right, well, let's fix the technique first. Now he's a monster at them, but you wanted to do them from day one. Yeah, you know how he is. So
of course.
But Manny. So Manny had been exposed to a little bit of Olympic lifting with the coach before, so we had some idea of how to. He actually was pretty decent at cleans and stuff like that. We had to clean up some things, but other than that, we were good. And he was young and was eager, so it was pretty easy actually.
Nice.
Yeah, it was pretty easy. Once I tell guys, I kind of give them the reason and the science as to how it's going to help them and not hurt them. And that we're going to progress it slowly, and we're going to make sure we do it right. They buy in. Not only they buy in quickly, then I'm the one that's kind of lowering what we're going to do out of it. They're like, hey, let's throw on some weight. I'm like, no, we're good. That's enough weight. I don't need to get more out of you than that. I'm going to get everything I want out of it from an adaptation standpoint. So let's keep it there, because they'll actually start throwing more and more out there. So which is great, So I've been real lucky with that. I'm sure some coaches hate me for it. But the players have all literally, I don't think I've had one big league guy or minor league guy or stuff like that that's ever really fought me on it.
Nice, bro. Do you think it's because of the way that you do it? Because you're not just telling them hey, clean, but the reason behind it, do you think that's what takes it to another level for them to be all right, let's go, brother?
Yeah, I think so. When I tell them all the benefits of it, I'll tell them listen, we're actually gonna get your shoulder. Not more resilient. I'm not gonna say bulletproof or anything like that. It doesn't exist. But we're gonna actually make it more resilient by teaching you how to pull this correctly, by how to catch, work the proprioception of catching that overhead position, and kind of feeling the shoulder girdle working and all that stuff. And it's actually gonna help you along the way.
Bro, you actually said it right there. So many people say that for example, let's stay on the snatch. That hurts you, but do you think that exercises like that done the right way could now prevent injuries?
Yeah. Prevent injuries is a strong word.
Of course.
Make the tissue more resilient to injury.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That exact like motion.
Yeah. So like if you think about it from like say from like a throwing perspective, like we'll take both. We'll take a throw and a swing, right?
Yeah.
So if you take a throw, you think about how much torque is generated through the arm and stuff like that. You know, when you get that extension through and you're pulling through, really the only thing that's violent enough to contradict that motion in the opposite direction is a snatch.
Man.
Not as fast, right?
No,
because
no,
you're loaded and stuff like that. But you're, a lot of guys do those reverse ball tosses, and that's great. You know, that's good. That's good preventative work. But you're taking it to another level when you're really yanking that way through, and then you got to receive it and catch it, and that's where the stability comes in. Think about that position. That's the stable position. Throwing.
Same thing.
Do
you like tell them to do that motion fast? Or you
It's as fast as possible. We put a sensor on and it measures the speed, and we want that thing like a lot of people are gonna know what this means, but like plus 2.0 meters per second, which is fast.
You want that thing to say faster every time. Go up. Bro. It's a different mentality, but I think it's a mentality that definitely is gonna help players more than hurt them. Because I mean, dude, do you think a lot of injuries happen because guys are not prepared?
Yeah, I think definitely because they're not prepared for different reasons. You know, might not be that they're not putting in the work, but they're not putting in the right amount of work. You know, or the right quality of work, or right movements. But let's take that into example, right? So not only are a lot of baseball guys afraid of going overhead on the snatch, they're afraid of cleaning because, you know, the risk and stuff like that. Which I understand. I understand the fear of the risk reward. I get it. But if you teach it right and you get them doing it correctly, and you're never putting them in a bad position, right? We're not doing a CrossFit workout. We're not doing 120 snatches. You know, doing 3 sets of 3, 4 sets of 3.
Gotcha.
You know, 2 sets of 2 sometimes. You know. So when you're doing it from that perspective, then you're never really putting them in danger. You know, we know what weight we're doing. You know, we're measuring the speed, stuff like that. Same thing with the cleans. But then even a lot of players are told not to bench press, right? Because of the shoulder, also not to overhead press, right? I like literally think the opposite. I think if you're afraid of overhead pressing, don't throw a baseball. Because there's nothing in overhead press that's anywhere near as dangerous as trying to throw a ball 90 plus miles per hour. Just isn't. Like, just from some biomechanical factor, what's going on in the shoulder, there's no comparison. So if you can't do this, don't do this. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's as literally simple as that.
Where does that crap come from, bro?
I think it comes a little bit from just like it's like an overuse kind of like philosophy. Like, well, we're already throwing like crazy, so the shoulder's already getting taxed. Let's not tax it more by putting it into these positions where they're not taking into account. Well, first of all, the movement is, even though there's some similarities, the movement is different. You know, strength training always builds tissue at the tendon and the muscle level, right? You could do isometrics and eccentrics to get more tendon work or whatever it may be, but you're always working tendon muscle relationships. So you're actually making a healthier joint when you're actually strength training it, right? But I think it kind of stems more from that philosophy of like, we're already working the heck out of it. Let's not overwork it. And then that's just kind of like carried on, you know, and then just old school thinking, just not catching up with the science, not catching up with the times and stuff like that. There's big name guys that are renowned that I think are great that are still totally against it. Like, I've gone back and forth with a few of them. Like, I'm not even gonna drop names, but we've gone back and forth on how adamant they are against it and stuff like that. And I think they're way behind the 8 ball on it, behind the curve.
But I think that, do you think that makes you, like, does that separate you from another trainer, or do you think just it's all preference? Like, it's really all preference.
I think I have a bias towards it. It's worked for me. So the snatch, and we keep going back to snatch. I'll try to talk about other movements, but back in college when I played football, I had a shoulder that popped out every single day. I could barely kind of clean. I couldn't overhead press at all. I couldn't hang from a bar because my shoulder would pop out. So I couldn't do pull-ups or anything like that. And our athletic trainer, who was also programming our strength programs, because back then D2 schools didn't have strength coaches, he started introducing us to the hang snatch. But he started with a really slow motion version, just a barbell. And all my guys go through this. We go barbell, we go through extension, shrug, pull, and then get overhead, right? I'm talking about at that speed. You know, it takes you like 8 seconds to get to the top.
Yep.
And we would do, 3 sets of 10, for instance, right? And then eventually we start picking up the tempo, start understanding the mechanics behind it, stuff like that, start understanding the catch, the catch position and what that's supposed to look like, how fast you're supposed to get up there. I started snatching when everybody's like, you cannot snatch. You can't do it. And I'm like, this feels like I'm getting more stability out of it. That with a really, really aggressive rehab program that I did over the off season. So I think that's definitely part of it. But I believe the snatch was a big, big part of it. And after that, my shoulder hasn't popped out now. I'm 45 years old, 20 years. 20 years, my shoulder has not popped out once. Where it used to pop out daily. Daily, my shoulder was hanging, had to pop it back in. So yeah, bro. So like, so that kind of made me start believing in how that helps you become more resilient, right? And again, it's part of it is the tissue development. Part of it's just the proprioception of feeling this position and what it takes to be stable up there and stuff like that. And then from there, I kind of used it to help some guys. There was a quarterback and there was an independent league player that was having shoulder issues. I put him through the same protocol for about 3 months. Went into the next season, never had a shoulder issue. Oof. So I'm like, okay, we're good with this. Like this is, it's anecdotal, but it's working every time I put it to the test. So every time I get a new baseball guy, I'm like, hey, we're gonna snatch, and here's why. And they're like, all right, bet, let's go.
Let's do it.
And they've all bought in.
That makes all the difference.
Yeah. But so I think there's a lot of guys now. There's this new wave of these baseball performance guys that are like throw specific, hit specific, that are starting to now catch on and they're starting to do it more and more. You're starting to see it a lot more on these high level kind of like almost like these private facilities that are doing it, but you're starting to see them incorporate a lot more Olympic lifting into the program.
They're buying it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, well, let's start now.
Yeah.
Let's start.
Yeah.
I want you to take me back, bro. Take me back to like Nick Soto as a kid, growing up, what your dreams were, like things that you used to think about when you were a kid and what you wanted to do as a young kid.
Yeah. So I wanted to mirror Michael Jordan's career from football, but on the football realm. I'm sure all of us did, right? To some extent. So I'm like, all right, wait, so Jordan won 6. I got to win 6 Super Bowls. I'm going to take a year and a half in between. I'm going to compete in the Olympics.
Oh, Olympics. All right.
I was a Taekwondo fighter. So Taekwondo was my.
Oh, that's right.
I was actually a better Taekwondo fighter than I was a football player. I was probably about average at football, but I was really good at Taekwondo. But my passion was always football, So yeah, so anyway, so those were my 2 sports. Junior Olympic champion in Taekwondo, 5-time state champions and stuff like that. And I was really, really good at that sport. Football was my passion. My senior year of high school, I basically said I was going to do all sports. And in the summer, I was training for soccer. I hadn't played soccer in 4 years. I'm like, hey, I'm playing soccer too. The heck with this. This is my last year. And I blew out my knee. Before even football season started. It was like in the summer, like not even like real practice.
Training,
just getting together. The group of soccer players getting together. My cousin was part of the team. He's like, hey, come out to one of our independent practices. Blew out my knee. First time out there. And it blew out my ACL. I ended up having 3 surgeries that year as a 17-year-old. And that kind of like sent me downhill. That year, I was an Olympic hopeful. Didn't make the Olympics, obviously. Was kind of in and out of sports for a while there. And then I decided at 23, 24 years old, I decided to go play college football.
Wow.
Yeah, old as hell. Had no business. My knees weren't great. My shoulder used to pop out every day. And I'm like, if I don't do it now, when? So I went, I did that. I lasted a year, got mad I wasn't getting played. Injuries, this and that, more than anything. I probably wasn't good enough, but I got mad at the coaches, so I just left.
Yeah, you blamed them for it.
Yeah, I blamed them for it, And but I came back and I still had dreams and aspirations, so I just kept training. I'm like, oh, maybe I'll do a CFL tryout. I'll find a way in. All my boys were like, dude, hang it up, you're good, And but I'm like, no. But I started training guys along with me. Guys that are trying to make it to college. Guys that were in high school, that stuff like that. My brother was coming up at that point. He was a really good linebacker, and so I started training these guys just along with me. I was already doing personal training on the side just to make some extra cash, stuff like that, and that's basically how it started. And then one athlete led to a group of athletes, and then at one point I'm like, well, let's open up a facility, and that's how we started. We just opened up a facility.
Just like that.
Yeah.
Dang, man. Dude, that's insane.
And then Elite U started from there, and then And then when it was myself and my brother, we started Elite U. And when we started that one, it was two things. It was to train athletes, and it was to get the general pop to train like athletes. So train like an athlete came from that.
Yeah.
And everything we did was based on that. Everybody was going the CrossFit route. We probably would have made a lot more money going the CrossFit route, but our passion was in getting people to train like athletes and then training athletes, obviously.
Is it hard to get a regular person to try to train like an athlete?
At first, yes. Yeah. At first, yeah. What's funny? So this is the first year I've come back to training Gen Pop again. I hadn't done it in 5 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I started again this year. It's kind of like a little side passion project. And we used to have a group back in the old Elite U days called the Gladiators.
Okay.
And I'm like, let's bring it back as a challenge. So we did like a 3-week challenge. And I told everybody, hey, when you do this, we're going to train 21 straight days. So 7 days a week for 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be a cross between some kind of boot camp training that's going to be murderous, but you're also going to get a lot of technical training out of this. I'm going to teach you how to run. I'm going to teach you how to jump and land. We're going to do Olympic lifts because that's what I do. We're going to squat heavy, and then it kind of just took off from there. And you saw it within the first session when I was kind of going over guys, this is the technical way I want you running. This is how you're gonna accelerate. Acceleration, people in Gen Pop, all they want to do is be able to run 3 miles. They don't care about how fast I get from 0 to 10, right? But I was teaching them how to get from 0 to 10, and you started seeing this buy-in. And at first it was mostly just the girls that were really buying in, and I want to run like that, and I would send them videos of
sprinters.
Yeah, Justin Gatlin sprinting, this and that, Shakari Richardson, and then I work with a lot of really good high school track athletes. Mm-hmm. So I'll send them videos of my girls, usually they're girls, sprinting. I'm like, I want to run like that. Okay, well, this is what we got to do. So they just bought in, and they really like it, and they're still doing it till this day. And that's what we're doing. I'm teaching them, how to run efficiently and effectively, but also explosively and powerfully,
Wow.
And they do the strength and conditioning. They do 90% of it is the same program that the athletes did.
Dang.
Obviously we'll tweak some stuff here and there because,
yeah.
But most of it is the same stuff. And a lot of them jump into both. They'll do the speed and agility part, and they'll do the strength training part.
Look at that, man.
Yeah.
No, so they're bought in for real.
Yeah.
They're really going for it.
Yeah.
Man, that's so cool. Dude, when you were a kid, did you train? Did you work? Was that a thing? What kind of training did you have?
Yeah, so I had a couple pretty big influences. My dad was one. My dad was always just pushing me to if you're gonna do a sport, take it all the way. Go for it, right? Mm-hmm. And I guess subconsciously I realized I wasn't one of the better athletes, but I knew I could outwork everybody. So I just on my own put in the work.
Yeah.
We're doing 20 sprints. Well, I'm saying after practice I'm doing 10 more. You know what I'm saying? I just kind of always had that kind of mentality, right? I remember one time my pops took me to a swimming pool. I was 8 years old, and he was making me do laps. That was one of the big things is you got to learn how to swim. So he would make me swim. And one of these days I was just having a bad day, and I was just done. I was over it. And I remember I was freaking 8 years old. I still remember this like if I'm there now. And he gets mad at me. I tell him I'm done. He's like, no, you're not done. You got 4 more laps. And I'm like, no, I'm done. I'm crying at this point. I'm done because I know he's not going to let me stop, but I'm telling him I'm done. He's like, you got 4 more laps. Get back out there. I kind of half. I'm like, I can't. I see the fury in his eyes, and he just walks up and just leads me in the pool. So I stay behind, and I did him. I did him. And then I went back up. We lived in an apartment back then in Virginia. I went up to the apartment, crying still. But I got it in. That's kind of and then same thing with football practices. On those days that you had a bad loss and the coaches are trying to murder you. Mm-hmm. We have guys quit after these, an hour and a half of just bear crawls and rolling and nonstop gassers or whatever. And my dad's like, you're not gonna let them break you. You'll be sitting in the back, not calm, but don't let them break you. Don't let them break you. And that kind of mentality just kind of hung in there, right? And then and sure enough, half the team would quit, and I'd be ready for the next rep. You just suck it up mentally, Wow. So seeing kids these days kind of bothers me a little bit, to be honest with you. I deal with mostly kids, right? And that soft mentality that's around right now, when I wasn't the only one that was the way I am, you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of dude, just buckle down a little bit, but just do it, but yeah. And then the other guy was my Taekwondo coach. My Taekwondo coach was light years ahead of the game. He would study what the Koreans were doing a lot. He would actually go out to the Olympic Training Center and see what speed ice skaters were doing. He would go to track practices and see what Coach Dean's been there forever, so I'm sure she was there then. He would see what drills they were doing, and he would apply it to our training.
Wow.
So I was
man.
doing, crazy types of plyometrics, crazy types of speed training for Taekwondo back when I was like 14, 15 years old. And that totally changed me as an athlete. Like I went from mediocre to like a really, really good athlete for a while.
Wow.
Obviously injuries jumped in there, but it was literally all due to the training. And then that was the same thing. That was a lot of just hardcore 7 days a week, no days off. But we would, but it was also smart. The strength training was on point.
Yeah.
The plyometrics were on point. You know what I'm saying? Everything had a purpose, and the purpose made sense.
Gotcha.
And that's really where my exposure kind of came into training, and then also coaching. Because then I'd go back and coach the classes and use his methods and stuff like that. And
so you always had kind of that training background. Like you always had a good training background.
Yeah, I got really lucky with that, and
that's
and
awesome.
I realized the difference that training can make. Because I'm telling you, I was a good sports player, and that I understood sports, and I could see the court, and I could see the field, but I wasn't really fast. I wasn't really explosive. Average strength. I was a big kid, but not super strong either. And then coming out of that training, I was superior from athletic standpoint. It was literally all due to the training. So I knew that could have that effect. And a lot of the stuff I did back then, I still do to this day. So shout out to Huicho, Rhoda.
Ooh, shout out to Huicho. What age did you get your black belt? Did you get your black belt?
Yeah, I did. 17 I got my black belt. No, maybe 16. No, 17. I got my black belt. But I was fighting black belt men's division when I was like a green belt, yellow belt, and I was like 14.
Man. Ooh.
Yeah, because all our training was based on fighting.
Yeah.
So he's like, you're ready to fight black belts in men's. So I'm like 14-year-old kid, flaquito and stuff like that. But he's got me out there.
Throwing kicks, bro.
Yeah,
you're going at it with men.
Yeah, with men.
Ooh.
That I've been doing it for 20 years,
That's
but
so
it was
sick.
awesome. It was
not
awesome.
not a lot of people, I think, know not only what martial arts brings, but I think the discipline. Like, Can you talk about a little bit about the discipline that you took from martial arts that maybe also helped you when you came and started training athletes and stuff like that as well? Yeah,
well, I mean, there's a few factors on the discipline side that kind of take hold. One of them obviously is the training's really, really intense, like we talked about. There's a high level of respect when it comes to walking into a gym, a dojo, whatever you call it. There's a high level of respect. I don't know if it's still around with the whole mixed martial arts and stuff like that, but when you had I don't know if it was karate, kung fu, taekwondo, whatever, when you walked into that dojo, like you were expected to act a certain way. You know what I'm saying? It was demanded. It's a traditional thing, right? It goes back hundreds of thousands of years. Yeah. So that part of it really kind of makes you understand the environment dictates your actions, and in this environment you act this way, and there's no stepping out of that, right? The training part, like I said, was a huge part of it. Going back to the old school traditions, our coach would walk around with a bamboo stick, and if you got out of line, you got whacked by the bamboo stick. If you didn't put your leg in the exact spot it needed to be in, you got whacked by the bamboo stick. So, but it was just part of it, right? Yeah. It wasn't abuse. It was just,
that's how it
was.
You learn.
That's how you learn.
You learn. I bet you put it in the right spot next time, right?
You had it perfect. You know what I'm saying? That bamboo stick hurt. But that was part of it. So that discipline kind of carried over into kind of everything else that I did. Plus, like I said, my dad's influence on you don't quit. You gut it out.
So you hit on the kids, right? Like the kids nowadays, and understanding how they might have that soft mentality. Again, one of the things that you preach too is being able to train the right way. And I think sometimes people that are younger, maybe now, take that as, oh, then I don't have to work too hard. Like, what do you think needs to be done for kids to kind of go back to like working hard? Even though, yes, working the right way is good, but also putting in that time and that effort into whatever your craft is. Like, what needs to change, bro? Like, what needs to change to get these kids back to that?
So I think you still see the kids that are actually succeeding still have that in them, not innately. The kids that are succeeding today, like I could give you, as many bad examples I could give you just as many, great examples. Sal Storr, who's a baseball guy, is one of them. This kid knew what he had to do and would not come up with any excuses not to do it. Maybe not always from a physical standpoint, even though he did bust his butt in the weight room and on the speed stuff and all that stuff. But I mean, you couldn't get that guy away from a hitting machine, for hours and hours and hours a day, every single day. Like it's, even in basketball season, he's going to go and hit for 2 hours. That's just the way it was. So there's guys like that, little Seth Irvin, who's big Seth Irvin's son. Same thing. That kid, I've been with him since he was 11 years old. He'd come to the gym, come train, I'd kill him for an hour and a half, go to practice, come in on Saturday, come in on Sunday. I'd have him training with my pro football guys. Mostly it was all football guys earlier in my career, and he'd be in there training with pro guys. He's 12 years old, but I knew he could handle it. You know what I'm saying? Because he had that mentality.
Yep.
It comes from him, right? So you got guys like that. When you're talking about the rest of the youth, I think part of it comes. I'm not against participation trophies. Actually, most people are against them. I think they've been around forever. I remember being a slow ass track and field runner when I was 7 years old.
They give you a little medal,
and I got my little ribbon, and it might have been brown or purple, not gold or blue, but they gave me a ribbon anyway. So participation trophies have always kind of been around. I just think that it's just kind of become an excuse, and like for not demanding more. So I think it starts at home. It starts at home. You demand more. Like I said, my dad never let me get away with a lap, much less a season, or like kids of these days are like, oh, I don't want to play the sport anymore. No, you signed up for it. I paid for it. You're gonna do the season.
Yeah,
right?
You don't have a choice.
You might suck at it, and that's cool. And next year, don't do it. Yeah. But this year, you're gonna see it through. You know what I'm saying? So, but that's a home thing, right? Yeah. Parents siding with a student instead of a teacher.
Oh my God.
That never happened in my day. I came home crying to my mom about how mean and what a business teacher is.
You're in trouble, bro.
I'm the one. Let's go have a meeting.
Yeah,
and then we send a meeting. I'm like, I'm gonna get this lady. And no, it would always go the wrong way. It always went the other way. So yeah. So and in this day and age is the other way around. So.
Dang, man.
It's what do you do? What do you do? Here, we're pretty fortunate that, we're in the private sector. So most of the kids that are here want to be here. Their parents are paying for it. There's very few examples where it's a parent forcing it on a kid, which is good, right? This should come from them.
Yeah.
And they come in voluntarily and they get to work every once in a while. You got to put a foot up in their butt, and just tell them, hey, listen, let's get with it. We're here for a reason.
You got to get a bamboo stick, bro.
Yeah. But one thing I tell, and I used to say this, when I was actually coaching sport, and then now on the performance side of things, it's like I'm never going to coach effort. And I can't remember what coach said it, but when I heard it, it like just rung so true to me. I'm not here to coach effort. I'm here to coach technique. I'm here to coach you to be a better player, better athlete, whatever. I'm not here to coach effort, and I will never coach effort.
Dude, you just blew my mind. No way, man.
Yeah, and I love that quote. So I live by that quote. So if a kid's half-assing it, I'm like, hey, you're half-assing it, and then I leave it at that.
That's it.
Yeah.
So you don't think so you think that has to come from the athlete? Like you can't.
I've never wanted it enough for an athlete to make them change.
We're gonna clip that, bro. That was a good one.
Yeah,
that was good.
But it's true. And I've wanted so many times I wanted an athlete to want it the way I want it because I see their potential. I see what they got. I'm like, dude, just want it the way I want it for you, and you will be something. I can never want it that much.
Yeah, that's like now that's being a magician.
Yeah,
yeah, and
exactly.
That's not your job,
right?
Dang, man,
yeah.
Dude, I've never heard that before. But it's funny because I always thought motivation. That was one of the things I want to ask you about, like motivating others, and I'm sure in a sense you still motivate people to maybe get their best while they're training and stuff like that. But a lot of it comes from them.
Yeah. So my partner loves and hates the way I do things. Because I've gotten, old now, 45 years old. I used to be a lot more intense in my training approach, and I can still get after it when I have to, and when it's time to up the ante and get intense, I can get very intense. Yeah. And there's moments for it. There's places for it. If it's an entire group that's just going around eating crap, I'm gonna get in their ass a little bit, and then I'm gonna get after them, and I'm like, hey, and do all the stuff that I do, and give them the scowl and all that, and they respond, that's fine. But that's got its place and its time, and it's just here and there. For the most part, I'm here to just make you a better athlete, right? This is a contract between you and me. You want to be a better athlete? I want to make you a better athlete. I can give you the tools to do it. You got to do the work, right? So my training sessions are actually kind of quiet, with every once in a while, hell yeah, I clocked them at something they hadn't run before, and I get super excited for them, with the occasional hell yes, and when you're screaming, you're cheering more than anything. But the rest of the time, it's like, hey, listen, I need you to put your foot here. Hey, I need you to drive this way. Hey, you got to pull that faster. Hey, let's add some pounds. It's that conversation with them, right? Yeah. And it's almost conversational. Yeah, it is, and it's very just understand where we're going, understand what we're trying to do,
Mhm.
and it's that kind of communication, and it's
Gotcha.
limited communication, right? And then so my partner is old school like I am, so he wants to hear me yelling at them and them,
Yeah, dying. Get up!
yeah, exactly. That's what he wants to see, And I'm like, I get you,
Yeah.
and he's not wrong, right? Because like you said, maybe if I did a little bit more of that, we'd have a little less soft guys, At least we phase them out, But no, that's not the purpose. That's not my purpose, anyways. My purpose is hey, let's make you better.
Gotcha. Do you think when you're dealing with a certain athlete, maybe like the way you talk to a South Stewart, maybe it's different the way you talk to a Romy or a Manny or
100%.
Do you like pick and choose? Maybe like Romy, you're like, yo, you're being a little soft here, brother. Like, let's go, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it's more subconscious, but yeah, I think you gotta if you want to be a good coach, you gotta be a great communicator, right? And then being a great communicator means understanding not just what you're saying, but how you're saying it and who you're saying it to, and then also receiving what they're giving you, right?
Yep.
So I think I've picked up enough social cues, from people that I could understand, okay, where do I want to take this conversation? But it happens mostly innately and mostly like subconsciously. Nice. But yeah, there's definitely different ways. Like I said, like you said, like I'll grab a salad and I'll be like, hey, you're dogging it today. And he'll be like, I know. All right, let's go get it.
Yeah, let's go.
And then he'll go and get it. I don't think I've yelled at Seth Irvin one time in my life. Because I don't have to. All I have to do is just grab him by the waist and be like, hey, you okay? And be like, no, this is kind of bugging me a little bit. I'm like, well, why don't you tell me that's bugging you? Let's cut this out. Because I know if
he'll do it anyways.
Yeah. If he's not going 100%, something's probably bothering him. It's not because he doesn't want to go 100%, because I know he does 100%. Everything he does it at 100%.
Wow.
So all I gotta do is just grab him by the waist and be like, hey, and that's how we talk, and it's almost like a whisper, right? But yeah, there's other guys that I gotta yell at them from across the room. Hey, throw it up, like whatever it is,
Get it up.
Yeah.
Nice, bro. Nice. All right, now let's go to school. Because I know you got your master's, right?
I do.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I did a little bit of research and stuff
awesome.
like that. No, I don't. I come prepared, bro. I come prepared. So tell me a little bit about going to school, understanding. Did you like school? Was that a thing that you liked maybe growing up?
I loved learning. I hated school. I loved learning under my terms. I could
send this to my dad, bro. That's what I like to tell him too.
I loved learning under my terms. Like if it was something that I could dig myself into, and then I'm good to go. I don't think I read a book through high school. That was required. I read hundreds of books in high school that I wanted to read.
Of course.
Not one that I was assigned. Not one. Yep. I'd go there, and I'd have, like these. I had great English teachers at Gables High back when Gables High was really great, and they really taught us how to write and like how to analyze what we were reading and turn that into whatever paper, whatever research paper, whatever, and I learned how to kind of like go through the important things of the book, and then jot them down so that I could write a paper on it and make it seem like I read the damn book, And I figured out how to do that, and then with them teaching you how to write and how to make arguments and this and that and thesis and all that, then it looked like a great paper, but I didn't even touch the book, But when it came to stuff that I wanted to study, then yeah, awesome.
You were in.
Yeah, I was in. College, absolutely not. I was 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I quit originally. I went back just for football. Quit again. Went back just to make my mom happy. Got my degree. Went to the workforce. Opened up my gym, and I'm like, I want more. I need more. That's when I did my master's program. That was on my terms. I aced everything.
Oh yeah, you were in.
Mine was my nutrition classes. Those were boring as hell. I got like it was like A C A because like I had 2 nutrition classes and I hated them both.
Yeah,
but
that just sucked, bro.
So don't ask me for nutritional advice. but yeah, that was on my terms. You know what I'm saying? All the reading I got to do, I got to pick and choose the reading that whatever. So that was so when it's on my terms, I definitely like studying.
You get after it. Yeah. And who do you use? I know you talked about your Taekwondo master coach, and then you also talk about your father. But like when it comes to strength and conditioning, like the workouts, who do you look up to? Like who did you really learn from in that aspect? Right.
The list is so long. I've literally stolen from everybody.
Ooh,
I've stolen from everybody. The first person that I really kind of like started following what he was doing was Tommy Moffitt, who was the strength coach during the beginning of Butch's run.
Okay.
Butch Davis's run. And he was the first one that really got me thinking about Olympic lifting from a performance perspective. He would do a bunch of Oli lifts. You know, he had him doing single leg squats. He was ahead of the curve in my opinion. He's probably the most underrated and one of the best strength and conditioning coaches in the college world. And he did it for a very long time. He just recently quit LSU now, a year ago or whatever.
Oh,
wow. But he was at LSU for gosh knows how many years, 20 years or so, and then he was a handful of years at I don't know where he was before that. But for some reason I was able to get his workouts. I started following them and doing them, and they were freaking awesome. And I was like, so that was my guy. So every time that something came out on Tommy Moffitt, I was reading up on it and researching it and stuff like that. I'm actually really mad I never actually reached out to the guy, and maybe I still will.
Dang, you haven't met him?
No, I never met him.
Oh, we gotta get that.
But at some point I'll reach out and kind of pick his brain personally. Hopefully I'll be able to. I've been able to do it with a couple other people that I've really admired along the way, which I'm really lucky about. One of the biggest things, like if anybody's trying to get into this field, is not being afraid to network, not being afraid to reach out for mentors and finding mentors, whether it be official, unofficial, whatever. And that's one of the biggest mistakes I made. I was like, I'll figure it out on my own. Okay, Tommy Moffitt stuff works for me. I'm going to use it, but I never reached out to the man. You know what I'm saying? I see Lawrence Seagrave and his sprint work. I'm going to steal that too. Never reached out to the man. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. And it took me a long time. Like now in my 40s is when I finally started reaching out to all these people that have been unofficial mentors because I've been stealing this stuff for ages. And
why don't you think you did it?
I don't know. Why didn't I do it?
Pride,
shyness, pride, a little bit of shyness, a little bit of pride, a little bit of everything.
That's crazy.
You know, man. A long time. You know, when you're young, you think that your way's the best way, and you carry that for a while, and you start realizing. The more you start learning, the more you start realizing. The more I learn, the less I know. You know, and so luckily over the last kind of 5 years that I've really kind of like sought out these people, and I've gotten to do mentorship. I'm doing now with Dan Paff, who's like the godfather of sprints. He learned under Tom Tellez, who was Carl Lewis's like safety coach. Tom Tellez is considered to this day like the guy. And then Dan Paff was like his immediate understudy, and then he had another immediate understudy, Vince Anderson. I got to do a symposium with him, be with him for like 3 days, which was freaking awesome. I did that this year. I'm doing the mentorship with Dan Paff this year.
Wow.
So man. I'm just now,
getting in there.
And like I said, I've told them to their face. I'm like, dude, I've been stealing your stuff for ages. So this is great for me to actually hear it from the horse's mouth,
Wow, man.
And I understood their reasons behind it. I was able to dig in enough to understand, okay, why are we doing this, and not just follow it blindly, and make sure that it fit with my philosophy. And it did, it always kind of has. Even though they themselves, I'm talking about Vince Anderson and Dan Paff, they themselves have kind of different philosophies on certain things, like at the core is kind of similar, right? Because they both come from Tom Tellez. But even their differences, like what I can pick from one and pick from the other, I pick the stuff that fits me and molds me. You know what I'm saying? And then they've been molding me for a long time. From these guys are sprints guys, by the way. Like they say they call speed sprints. And for a long time, I kind of realized that doing speed training and sprint training was important for all athletes, right? And that's I think that's one of the things that started kind of separating me. I was doing like high level track work with athletes 10 years ago. Now it's kind of like more and more strength coaches are doing it now. But back when I was doing it, everybody was arguing against it. Back then, everybody was like, no, kind of like the whole snatch thing. Everybody's like, why are we going to teach a guy how to run like a sprinter? You're never going to run like that in a football game, or you're never going to run like that in a soccer game or a basketball game, whatever it might be. So baseball, obviously. So why are we going to go through this? And they didn't stop to actually analyze all the potential benefits from it.
What do you think is the biggest misconception when it comes to the sprint, like the actual sprint?
There's a few really bad cues. The worst cue is staying low. And it was a cue that I was taught growing up also. Stay low so you can drive out. Staying low is not the solution. In fact, when you stay low, you end up bending at the waist, and you end up producing less force into the ground. You actually mess up your push angles, and you don't get optimal push angles. It's like trying to squat, keeping your chest down like this, right? Instead of squatting and trying to come all the way up.
Yeah.
And just because the axis is horizontal, the push relative to your body should be vertical.
Gotcha.
Your body's leaning this way. So you're still pushing vertically. You're just pushing vertically this way. right? So your objective is projection. I need to get out.
So you're
Right.
pushing against the ground to be able to push yourself forward. You're not leaning forward to fall forward.
Exactly.
Right. You're
Exactly.
getting pushed forward.
Yeah. And staying low always produces the opposite. It produces you, like you said, just falling forward. Right. So you're basically just catching your feet in the ground instead of driving your feet through the ground to get yourself forward.
Gotcha.
So and then the angle of projection all depends on an athlete's strength and rate of force development.
Mm-hmm.
So depending on how, like a shorter, stronger athlete is going to be able to get down. It's going to be able to have a less steeper angle. A taller, less strong athlete is going to have a higher angle on takeoff. We're talking about takeoff.
Yep.
Right. And every step should incrementally get taller
To eventually
the top end.
like
Our
a
goal
sprinter,
is
top end.
your goal is top end no matter what. Right. And at any sport, really, your goal is top end until you have to change direction. Your goal is to get faster and faster and faster down the field until you got to stop, cut, or whatever. Right. But yeah, so that's the worst coaching cue there is the stay low cue, and I mean we're battling it. I'm actually amazed that we're still battling it so much these days because every time I got guys come in here, it's like, oh, but I'm supposed to stay low. No, you're not supposed to stay low. You're supposed to project the entire body through the hips, and the only way to do that is to not worry about how low you're getting and worry about your projection angles and your strike angles and all that stuff.
Gotcha. So in a sense, your body needs to be straight, whether it's at takeoff. Anywhere.
As soon as you're getting hip extension, it needs to be hip extension.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. What do you got on reaching versus cycling? Like what because I've heard, some coaches like, oh, get long, get as far as you can with each step.
You want to get so stride length is extremely important, and I coach stride length before I coach stride frequency. But the misconception comes when they start talking about stride length and they start reaching for the stride length, right? So there's a drill that I've taken from Vince Sanders and Dan Paff does it, Stu McMillan does it. It's wickets, right? And basically, I don't know where they originally came from, but Vince Sanders is the guy that is kind of like credited for it. And it's basically a series of, and you've seen it. It's the little hurdles, and they're down the lane, right? And they're at a certain distance. And depending on who does it, they might do it so that they're incrementally longer, right? Like every 2-3 steps to get a little longer. They might be that they're the same for 20 yards, 20 meters, whatever. They're the same distance, and you're trying to get in and out of it. The reason for the wickets is to teach you how to apply force vertically, and to get you up and down and bouncing on the track. A lot of coaches use it to be like, you need to hit this stride. So then you got kids overstriding to get there, and now you're just losing momentum. As the second that your foot is ahead of your body, you're losing momentum. You're fighting against yourself.
So you're stopping.
That's a braking mechanism.
Oh,
right.
Gotcha.
So the goal is always to hit under the hip, strike under the hip, right?
Gotcha.
As far as the cycling mechanics go, right? Yes, cycling mechanics are important. When they're younger, if they're really young, I let it happen on its own, and it usually does. We're talking about 6-7 years old, they kind of figure it out. When you get to that 11 to 16 range, you almost got to start teaching it or reteaching it to them, right? So I do a lot of emphasis on them understanding what a cycle mechanic looks like, okay? Nice. But then once we've accomplished that, then we're back to teaching get the foot back on the ground. You're trying to march and you're trying to push down fast and hard, explosively pushing to the ground, and the cycling should happen on its own.
So you're breaking it down. You're breaking everything down. Not only the sprint, like the sections of the sprint, or the run, whatever you want to call it, and also the body parts, like and how your body is moving within those motions. Yeah,
until they get it down, and then from there we can just work on. Okay, let's just push. Now let's just push. Let's get out there and just drive for 20 yards, 30 yards, whatever we need from you. Yeah.
All right, now let's get into, since we're so technical, into the sprint. I know one of the things that you do is combine training. Like when did that start, and how technical does it get during combine training?
Okay, so I'll answer the second question first because it's the easiest. Highly technical. All right. I
asked that knowing it. I'm sorry. Because I know how technical it could be. But
highly, highly technical. So it started. Some of my guys, as they were coming through the college ranks and stuff like that, they weren't really high level guys. So let's get them ready for this stuff. Another guy that I started following really early on. There was two things. There was a thing. It's called Exos now, and it's huge now. But back then it used to be Athletes Performance or something. I know it's just one facility in Arizona, and they were like one of the first ones to start doing combine prep training. Right.
Gotcha.
So it was them, And I don't know how well they did it or didn't do it, by the way. I have no idea. But I knew that when I saw it, I saw like an ESPN thing on it. I'm like, that's what I want to do. You know what I'm saying? And then there was another guy. His name will come to me hopefully sooner rather than later. He actually trains or used to train guys out of the wide world of sports in Orlando.
Okay.
And he was like one of the really first well-known guys, prep guys for the 40.
Is that D1? Is that?
No.
I know there's a D1 in Orlando.
Yeah, there's a D1 in Orlando, but I don't remember the guy's name. It'll come to me. Now we can put it in later.
Right, whatever.
But so when I saw him doing it, and I saw how he was kind of getting very technical in the 40, much like a track coach. I was like, ooh, yeah, I really want to do this. So those two kind of influences kind of brought me along. I'm like, so I knew at some point I kind of fall into it. And then a few years later, I met quite a few years later, because that was back like when I was still in college. When I first saw that, I'm like, I definitely want to teach that. I can see that, whatever. When I got to open up my facility originally, about halfway through the years there, and like I said, I had worked with a few guys here and there on developing their speed. I got a hold of Chris Chambers, and he had a facility called the Chamber up in Navy at the time. And him and I got along really, really well. We kept talking about doing business together, and then we decided, hey, let's do a combine prep together. He had already done one the year before. Let's do a combine prep together. I want you to run it. So I ran the combine prep. That was my first exposure. We had a bunch of guys. We had like 30-something guys. It was a great combine prep. I met one of my really, really close friends to this day. He doesn't play in the league anymore, but Rashawn Scott, who's just a great kid, and we formed a great bond. He was like the one. He was like our biggest name out of all the guys that were there, and that was the first time I got to actually program and design a 10-week program. It was 8 weeks for some guys, 10 weeks for others, to get them faster at the 40. And then like at that point, I had already been exposed to a lot of track coaches and what we're looking for from a track perspective. So I was already applying it. I didn't know a tenth of what I know now. Yep. Literally not a tenth, but I knew enough to kind of put things together. I knew enough about force application and what drills I wanted to put into it, and our guys did really, really well. A year later or 2 years later, I did another one. No, a year later, I'm sorry, I did another one, but I did it at my facility. And it was Coach Andrew Swayze and myself did it together.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Swayze.
So we did a prep together. That one got there were some issues there as far as like agents and stuff like that, whatever. So and then Swayze got the job at FIU. So it was just like all over the place. And then after that, literally right after that, is when the whole baseball thing started blowing up for me. And I honestly just didn't have time. I mean, combine prep is January through March. That's prime time for my baseball guys. So I was like, I almost got to pick and choose here at this point. And really just the baseball, out of ease, really the baseball guys won out. At that point, I was training Manny and Yonder brand new. I just started training them like a year or two before that. So I wanted to focus on them when it came in the off season. I had a lot of stuff I needed to do with them, and I wanted to do with them. So I kind of dropped it for a few years. And then here and there, some guys have come in, like pro day guys have come in. Hey, can you train me? And then I'll put them with one of my coaches, and I'll kind of supervise or whatever. And then this year happened again. And then one of the pro day guys reached out to me. He's like, hey, that him and I had talked about training in the past. He's like, hey, will you do combine training for me? And I'm like, I don't really have a lot of guys. Let's talk about it, whatever. I decided to do him, and then like 4 of the guys followed. So we've had about 5 guys this year. And then back to the technical part. Yeah, we work the 40 about 5 days a week. We treat it like a sprint camp.
Nice.
So we work the 40 4 to 5 days. Monday, Tuesday we exposed. Thursday, Friday we kind of don't. Saturday. So what is that? Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. So 4 days a week we work the actual parts of the 40. This and that, top end speed, acceleration, putting it all together, all that stuff. And then you got to do all the other very technical stuff like the 5-10-5 drill, the pro shuttle, of course, the L drill, vertical, broad jump, all that other stuff. Yeah. And then you got to get them physically looking right also. That's also a big part of it. We've always kind of tried to get them looking lean and trim, but also strong. So you get your performance part of the lifting, but you're also getting in some bodybuilding hypertrophy work in as well.
Yeah. I know you said don't ask me about nutrition, but obviously that's a big component when it comes to the athlete, and especially during combine.
Yeah.
Like, what do you do to prepare those athletes? Do you put them on meal plans? Are they working with somebody, a chef, things like
Yeah.
that?
So in the years past, we've done meal plans. This year I was kind of like a one-man show. There was a point there where I actually had a vacation. I had 10 days. So my right hand man here at Locks is this kid Solomon, freaking best assistant coach I ever had. I gave them to him for like 10 days.
Wow.
Yeah, he
That's
trained
trust,
them. He trained,
bro.
yeah. Oh yeah. That's the first time I've ever done that with any athlete. And he had him for 10 days. And but other than that, it's basically been a one-man show. So I haven't done the meal prep and all that stuff. I relied on the people that I know to provide the recovery stuff.
Nice.
Pacianos did a lot of the recovery stuff. Nikki, who runs Alpha Physical Therapy, she did some of the recovery stuff as well. But other than that, it's been kind of me. So it's basically just guiding them. Hey guys, I need this amount of protein, and I'm a big protein guy. At the end of the day, that's basically what I'm.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
I like
it's like I think
steak every.
yes, I think you need red protein as an athlete.
Amen.
Yes. Yeah.
That should be a religion, bro.
Yes.
Right there.
Yeah. 100%.
I don't understand how people could do it without protein. Like, how do people work out without protein, or do anything that's taxing on your body without protein?
Yeah, I don't get it. And I know some guys in the league have actually like gone vegan somewhere in their career because they've been convinced by some guru out there that vegan's the way to go. And I don't think any one of them has lasted very long after they were gone vegan.
Wow.
I know one guy that was vegan way before. He's still vegan now. The guy's still a monster. He played in the league. I didn't get to coach him or train him for football. I got to train him for long driving, actually.
Oh, dude, that's sick.
Yeah. He's nasty, and he's a monster. He was a linebacker, yeah. But I mean, how much of that is genetics versus like his diet plan?
Just a freak.
Yeah. So, and he lasted 10 years in the league being a vegan. But other than that, usually what I've seen is if a guy, and I'm not gonna call anybody out, but when they announce that, I switched to vegan because red meat's gonna kill me and this and that, they've all just gone downhill immediately.
Wow.
So yeah, and maybe there's other reasons, maybe it's a coincidence, but I think human beings, we've evolved eating red meat. Like, we need to keep doing it, especially if you want to perform at a really high level.
Nice. Yeah, I kind of want to touch a little bit on the business side, right?
Sure.
Obviously, starting a business is never easy, I'm sure. What were some of the hard things that you had to deal with when starting a business, and some of the things, like if somebody is watching and wants to do what you're doing? I know a lot of it isn't just training the athlete, right? Like a lot of it comes into, even when it comes to programming, marketing, sales. Can you talk to me about that a little bit?
Yeah. First and foremost, like, really think hard before you decide. Like, if you want to train people, you don't necessarily need to open up your own facility to do it. There's ways around it. Okay. There's ways around it. You can, like in my case, I could have easily done my field training at a field,
Oh, that's right.
And then gone to, my speed work, my agility work, all that stuff, done it at a field, change of direction work, whatever you want to call it. And then I could have used a facility to do my training. I could have gone that route. You know what I'm saying? I had this, vision of grandeur that got me started, right?
Yeah.
But if you do want to do it, you definitely got to think about, first and foremost, the funding for it, right? And it's more expensive than you think it is. It's really, really expensive. And I had the luck of my parents supporting my brother and myself. I had the luck of my brother and myself being able to take out, basically loans on our houses to be able to pull some money out, stuff like that. But but all that stuff is, it's like, it's also stress, right? Like you owe that, right? It's not like it's just there, right? And
it's not free, bro.
Yeah. And so we're lucky, we got a good chunk from our parents, and then ourselves, we were able to pull out the rest, and that's kind of how we opened up the first facility, and then moved to the second facility, and then it's just been, from there, it's just been trying to build it from, but then that's just the build out of it, the equipment and stuff like that, which could, low end. Depends on how low end you want to go, but I doubt you're looking at less than 20. And honestly, you're probably looking upwards of 100, and really probably upwards of 300. If it depends on how on you know what you're going to put into a facility, right? Then from there, you know, the biggest mistake we've always made is we spent $0 on marketing, and
Really?
there's reasons why and stuff like that. You've got to allocate a budget for marketing. You have to do it. You know, you got to allocate it. You got to let people know that you're out there. You can't be afraid to self promote. You know, you can't be afraid to put your name out there, to put your facility out there, stuff like that. You know, have whatever niche you're gonna have. Be general if you're gonna be general, whatever it may be. You know, you don't have. I don't think you have to have a niche. I think a niche is always great.
Yep.
But I think you can also just kind of cover all the bases. It's still you know, if you provide a good service, if you have a good marketing strategy that gets people through the door, and then once they're in the door, you can kind of like sell them, then you should be good. You know, I'm a horrible salesperson. I'm not a great marketer. So going into business was probably the worst idea, but I'm pretty decent on this side of it, you know. So all those things have been a struggle for me.
Nice.
Big struggle for me. But I'm still learning. Yeah, still learning.
No, because it's funny you say, "Oh, I'm a horrible salesman," but if you're good at what you do, selling is it kind of comes not naturally, but if people want what you're selling, they buy it. Right. And then you also say you're a terrible marketer, but you have, because of how good you are at what you do, you have some of the greatest athletes that you put on camera. Then all of a sudden, now you're marketing, bro.
Right.
Like, in a sense, free marketing. You have to pay for marketing. But do you think did you see that happening, or did you say like, all right, let me take out my phone and start videotaping? Like, this is good stuff.
So most of the time, most of the stuff I get isn't the good stuff. And because when we're doing the good stuff, I'm too involved.
You're busy.
Yeah. So the stuff I get is when like, oh, wait, hold on, let me get something.
Yeah.
You know, that's the stuff I get.
Hold up, he's like.
Yeah. So that's the stuff I end up getting sometimes, you know, when I'm lucky. Luckily now, a buddy of mine's taken over my social media, and he's blown it up. He's doing a great job, and I'm really, really thankful he's been able to do that, and it's doing a lot better, you know, and we're getting traction with it, and it's important. It's important if you're going to be a business owner, you know, especially in today's world. And so I'm really lucky that he wanted to take on that burden, because it's a burden, and he's doing freaking awesome with it, and he's flying with it. So I'm gonna let him keep flying high on it. But for me, it was really that, and I never really knew how to leverage it. Right, I never I'd take a phone out, you know, have Manny do a pretty hard, you know, deadlift session, and then post it, you know. But then from there, be like, hey, Manny, repost it or stuff like that. I never got around to that part of it. You know what I'm saying? Leveraging, you know, the goodwill that I have, and leveraging the athletes that I have. I've never been great at it, you know. And they'll do it, you know, but it's just I'll forget, or just whatever. And So
do you ever feel like, I don't know about you, man, but like ever since I started like doing this, for example, like it's your, like, you and Manny have a great relationship, like as friends. I mean, obviously business, but like he's a brother, you know, a brother too. But just sending that text and being like, yo, like, do you ever, isn't it terrible?
It's the worst. It's the worst. And you know the answer is yes, but it's 100%.
Dude, it's
with
so
all,
hard.
With all, and I get, you know me pretty well. Like I get close to all my guys. That's just my personality, right? So I end up being big brother to most of them, and to ask them for something is like no, like it's cringy, man.
Yes. I've had to. It's funny because Ricky Eusebio, one of my buddies that's best friends with Chance, which reached out, you know, like it's almost like we've figured out a way, in a sense, that he's able to like go out and say, hey, do you want to be on the podcast with Willie? Right? Because, bro, I have like I don't know if it's complejo, like
it's almost like pena, but like
not
like
really.
Pena,
but like I'm not a guy that's like, yo no tengo pena, right. You either, you know. I don't know why, man. I don't know what it is.
It's the weirdest thing, but
I think it's because we have like feel, because you understand that it's, you don't want to be like.
Yeah, I think there's the guys out there that don't have that social feel, that are kind of like they don't even think twice about it. Like I've had kids that are here when I'm training Manny and stuff like that want to go and ask him a million questions, and they don't understand. It's like, dude, this guy's in the middle of work.
Yeah.
You know, so I got to pull him aside and be the asshole and be like, yo, listen, no, not now. Go over there. Let my, and he's super nice about it.
Yeah,
you know, it's entrenador, so he comes in, he'll talk to them, this and that. But it's like, get away, man. You know, like, you know, they don't have that. You know, same thing. I'll have, you know, like like coaches have the same thing. They'll be like, hey, can I get an autograph? Like, no, don't ask my guy for an autograph, bro. Like I'm protective about it.
Yeah.
Like let my guy do his freaking thing. Don't be a fanboy.
Yeah.
You know. Shake his hand, say hi, whatever.
That's it. Yeah, say what's up. See you later.
But yeah, so dude, like all my guys send me jerseys and they're awesome about it. Romy, Manny, Yonder, all of them. And they sign it and this and that and they personalize it and it's freaking great and I love it. I would never ask for one. You know what I'm saying?
It's crazy, bro.
Like my boys are like, yo, give me Manny's autograph. I'm like, I'm not gonna ask him for that. I'm not gonna ask. And dude, he'll grab a ball.
I know, bro. Yeah, if you say, yo, hey man, can you sign this? You'd be like, yeah, sure, bro.
Right.
Like, he wouldn't even.
Yeah, it wouldn't. But for me, it's like, no, bro. Like that's no, like. Because I know he gets 80,000 of those a day. I'm not going to be 80,001.
Yeah, man. It's hard, bro.
Yeah.
It's hard because, again, it's part of the business, so, right? Like, it's part of the business that you're in. Yeah. But I see you doing, like, the videos.
In your case,
yeah,
every time that they jump on, like in my case, it's promotion for them also.
That's
so
true.
In your case, it's like you're actually doing them a favor just as much as they're doing you a favor.
Yeah. But you're also doing somebody a favor by helping them get better, in a sense. Like, it's... You give and you take, right? Like, obviously, we want to have your gym in the background. Like, those are the things that I think about, and I hope to help people. But still, bro, it's just sending a text is hard, bro. Yeah. Sending that text is hard. Yeah. Can you? I'm sorry, bro. Are you good on time?
I'm chilling.
Like, last little thing. Is that cool?
No, I'm chilling.
Bro, it's funny because I thought about it, and I was like, you hit on it. Manny being such a great guy. Like, him being, how does it feel to train the bad boy of baseball, bro? When he is literally the nicest human being. Dude. Can we put out something for Manny, please? Like, bro, let's help this guy out, because
it's I honestly, you gotta have somebody to hate. You gotta have somebody to hate. But he's freaking. He's as genuine as they come. He's as kind-hearted and as giving as it comes. Yeah, I mean the guy's a sweetheart, and it's just funny how his persona has been shifted to this thing, and I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the way they interview him. I don't know what it is, but even then, I hear him talking to me. I'm like, yeah, just ask him a question, he answered it. Like, but he's a genuine dude.
Yeah,
he's a genuine dude, and here's the other thing. Have you ever heard about him getting any kind of trouble, anything like that?
Never.
He's such a low-key dude, you know what
Always.
I'm saying? Like, low-key, works hard, is passionate about his career, about his work, you know what I'm saying? Like, like blue-collar kind of guy that happens to be a superstar. That's what it is. He's a blue-collar guy that happens to be a superstar, like.
Yeah. One of the things that I admire about him so much is the freak of a talent that he is as a baseball player, but how hard he's always worked. Like, I've known him since high school, when he was in high school, and he was at the cage every day.
Right.
Like, he was hitting 20 line drives out the back of the net, and he was still in the cage every day. Like, I can't wait to have him on to, like, talk to him and ask him, but, like, he just works so hard, even being a guy that was just better than everybody.
Yeah.
Like, he was the best, bro.
Yeah.
He was unbelievable and still works hard, bro.
Yeah.
Like, still puts in that work every day. Can you tell me, because I asked Romy about it, and he credits you for so much of his career.
I saw the interview, but that was crazy, man.
Yo, bro, like, I was crying, bro.
I got chills, man. I was like, dude, I was like teary-eyed. I'm like, damn, bro. Like, I didn't know it was like to that level, man.
Yeah, like, man, what can you tell me from your side, bro? Like, tell me how that developed and that story, and how that came about and what it's flourished to now.
The Romy one?
Yeah. Romy.
Yeah. So I would see Romy working out at UM when I was training my guys over there. And UM was always really, really, they've always had open arms to me, training guys that aren't even playing anymore, training them out of the facility. So I really thank them a lot for that through the years. And I would see Romy training there. He was one of the hardest workers in there. You had guys that would get after it and guys that would just kind of like go through their off-season thing. Yep. And he was always just like a freak, like, right? The way he looks, he's looked like that. I don't know. I didn't know him when he was younger, but
always, bro, always.
Like through college, up, yeah. So
he looked like his dad. His dad is always
jacked. Yeah. So I actually met his dad for the first time this year, and it was always like one of the guys that I wanted to work with. But I'm not gonna be like, hey, come work with me. You know what I'm saying? So, but Same thing with any of the other guys. So, you know, I'd be like, they see the work we're doing. Like, they should probably, like, I was surprised they hadn't reached out. And then he did reach out. And then it was like, and then he's like, hey, you know, you think you can train me? You know, they're always like really, really polite about it, which is great. Also, like they're asking. I'm like, of course I can train you. You know, like I'll find the time. Like, don't worry about it. You know, and yeah, I think when we started training was right like during that COVID period, and yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna get freaking in trouble. I don't know if I'm gonna get if I could get fined 3 years later, but gyms were closed.
Yeah, bro.
You know. But I had my guys that needed to freaking work out, so I was gonna find a way around it, and we literally closed doors, you know, 112 degrees, humidity at 1,000%, and we would just get after it, you know. And I would do it with him. I would do it with a select group of college and high school guys as well. Kept it really, really hush hush. Well, got super after it, and from day one he was just about it. You know, he's got that Manny mentality, that yawner mentality. They're about it. You know, I call them like my gorillas. That's where the whole gorilla baseball thing came from. You know, like they're my gorillas. Like they want to, like every set it's competitive. Every set they're getting after it. You know, and you know they're calling each other out and this and that, and it's freaking awesome. And then I saw him running. He's lightning fast. As big as he is, he's super freaking fast. He's a freak athlete. Freak athlete. But his running technique is horrible. And he's always got bad hamstrings. And I'm like, well, you know, if you're slow and you run like that, you get away with it. If you're fast, you run like that, that's when we're going to have hamstring issues. So over the last 3 years, a lot of the stuff we've done is working. That's, well, why do you work sprint mechanics like a sprinter? Well, the better you run, the safer you're going to be. So we've worked on correcting that through the last few years as well. And he's really receptive to basically everything I coach him on. Like we talked about, we got after, you know, snatches from day one. I'm like, because I'm cautious, you know, like baseball guys, I know their mentality. So I'm like, hey, I like to do this. Like, what do you think? You know, and he's like, yeah, I'm about it. Let's go. You know, like they didn't even know what the heck he was doing. I'm like, okay, well, let's slow it down. Let's teach you how to do this first.
Do it the right way, bro.
Yeah, you know, and I'm like, you know, do you like to bench? You know, because some guys don't like to bench, and I don't need bench, so that's not one of the things I push on my guys. And he's like, hell yeah, I bench, you know, and yeah, and I'm like, all right, well, let's take it slow. And you know, he's throwing like 2 plates right off the bat. He's just boom, boom, and I'm like, this is a baseball guy. Like, should have been playing football. He's like, oh, I did play football. I'm like, I could tell. Yeah, he's a monster. He's a monster.
Good,
but and I'll talk about like genuine guys. Like, he is one of the most kind-hearted like individuals you'll ever meet. He's like such a good freaking dude. Like, yeah, I'm super proud of him. I'm proud of what he's done the last 3 years. I'm proud of the work that we've done together. But I'm really more proud of like where he's been able to push himself to, and hopefully where he's going, where he deserves to go. You know, and he's earned it all. He's earned it all from a talent perspective, from a physical freak of nature perspective, and also from the hard work that he's put in perspective. Like, he deserves it. So hopefully he'll have a freaking monster year.
Oh yeah, bro. Yeah. He's in a perfect. I love the situation he's in, bro. Like, it's exciting to see him. Bro, if you look back to Nick Soto, the kid in Gables and stuff, would you have ever thought like this would have turned out to what it has? Is this where, when you were getting that loan, where you were, you know, did you imagine this business being where it is?
Yeah. So the high school Soto wouldn't have. You know what's funny though? When I had these dreams of grandeur in the NFL and this and that, I always wanted to have my own facility. And I wanted to train out of my facility and have like other athletes come train with me at the facility. So back then I already kind of had that vision. So part of my dream came true even from when I was a kid. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, but this, I mean, this is the goal. This is the dream when you ask your parents for a sizable freaking loan and don't know if you're going to pay it back. You know, even if at the end of the day, you know, like even if you don't make all the money in the world or all the money you thought you could make, or the numbers didn't add up the way you thought, like, dude, like I'm literally doing kind of like what I was meant to do. You know what I'm saying? All the injuries, all the average athlete stuff, all that stuff kind of just led me this way, and I can't possibly enjoy it more. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I like, there's nothing I like doing more.
You did it, bro.
Yeah,
you really did it. What's next, bro? What's the next thing you're thinking about? Where do you go? Where do you go from here?
I'd love to blow this facility up. I'd love to have every big league athlete that lives in Miami should be training here. every NFL guy and NFL hopeful should be training here. The top high school athletes, there's no better place to train. This facility is ridiculous, right? We got everything we need in house. So that's goal number one. Goal number two is finally sit down and write a book. Yeah, sit down and write a book.
What are you gonna have in it? What is it?
It's gonna be training based. It's gonna be training based.
Okay.
I have some ideas. I gotta finish putting kind of like thought to paper, and then okay, this is the route, because I could go so many routes that I'm interested in, right? And it's almost like I'm writing it for me, and then we'll see what happens. But there's so many things I want to put down, right? So that'll be another one, and then blow up Gorilla Baseball. Like, I think that's such a cool thing that we're working on. That, you know, I told you the guys doing my social media.
Yep.
And it's a way to reach a lot more athletes out there, you know, and hopefully we do sooner rather than later. But yeah, man, if my athletes succeed, then I'm happy, you know. So let's get Manny the MVP that he deserves.
Hey,
you know?
About time, bro. Yeah,
let's get Romy 30 jacks and
30 bases.
30-30.
Oh,
we talked about that.
There you
I
go.
don't know if I'm allowed to say that or not, but we talked about it.
Yeah, bro, you better get 30-30, bro. Let's go.
And if we get a couple of those things to kind of jive, man, then I'm happy. We're good.
Bro, thank you so much for having me, man. This
No,
is
thank
great.
you, buddy.
No, this
Thank
is
you.
awesome. This
Appreciate
is
you,
awesome, bro.